Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our Litera Learning webinar on leveraging Litera Desktop throughout your entire drafting lifecycle. My name is Lainey, and I'm an adoption specialist here at Litera. And before we begin, I'd like to just run through a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded, so in case you'd like to reference back to today's topic or share it with your colleagues, we'll send a follow-up email and a copy of the recording. And if at any point you have a question during this session, just submit it into our chat panel and we'll address them at the end of our presentation and our Q&A. But if we run out of time for any reason, we can send an email with the answers following this presentation. So with all of that being covered, please welcome our presenter, Leslie Balser.
Thanks, Lainey. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to go ahead and throw this slide up here so you know who you're hearing from today. So as Lainey said, my name is Leslie Balser, and I am on the customer adoption team here at Litera. And I have a background in training, customer service, and data analytics. And I use those skills to advocate for our customers and assist with user adoption. And next to me, I have Victor, who serves as a sales engineer on our Litera team, helping firms better understand the changing landscape of legal technology. He has an extensive history of showcasing our products to all different personas and can speak to best practices and workflows throughout your entire drafting lifecycle. Quickly, I wanted to cover our agenda for today's webinar. And this is part one of a three-part series. We'll be discussing our Litera Desktop ribbon. We'll break down the key components of our Litera Desktop from the perspective of your firm's support staff today. And we understand that there's a lot to cover, so we'll show some highlights and key features that we believe will help you utilize the ribbon most effectively. You'll see this covered later in the demo portion. And then if you tune in to our next series, we have two that will be coming up. You'll notice that next time we'll focus on the lawyer's perspective, and then we'll even hear from a firm to understand how they best utilize the ribbon. I wanted to throw up our Litera Desktop ribbon so you can take a look at it. It might look slightly different in your environment depending on how you have it configured. And the Litera Desktop is a single toolbar that includes everything a person needs to draft documents. It creates an integrated and seamless experience that simplifies your workflow. It was built to accommodate all of your necessary drafting tools without having to click through different tabs and different products from multiple vendors to accomplish a task. Instead, you have all the tools you need, where you need them, when you need them. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Victor, who will walk us through some common scenarios throughout the drafting lifecycle. Victor, where do people usually start with this?
Thanks, Leslie. And when it comes to leveraging Litera Desktop as a support staff member, really one of the biggest things that I hear in speaking to firms that go from sole practitioners to global firms is that Microsoft Word wasn't designed with the legal profession in mind. And that means that when we're trying to create that first draft, there are a lot of things that can bring in risk, that can bring in errors. And what we want to do is help you as support staff members create the best first draft before you have to send it over to the lawyer and they need to add anything there. How we accomplish that is within the Litera Desktop, starting left to right. We want to come in here and we want to access a safe starting precedent. We don't want to have to go back, find a document that we've used in the past, repurpose it, spend our time removing that client identifying information. Instead, I know that today I need to create a master service agreement. Upon leveraging our create solution here, I get my template. This is everything that the firm has said is what we want in our master service agreements from regardless of what customer it is. It's that starting baseline. What we have over here is the ability to bring in our client identifying information. So instead of me going back and finding a previous master service agreement, stripping out all of that client identifying information, I can just start adding it right within here. So I can say today's date will be the 30th, and then if I want to, I can actually bring in this information and see it populate within real time. However, we understand that a lot of the times as support staff members, you're working with different lawyers, with different clients. what we have within Litera Desktop is the ability to save client information. So if I've worked with ABC company beforehand, I've gathered a lot of this information. Instead of spending time adding this information in all over again, I can actually apply data, and I can say that this is the client information right here, and I can bring all of it directly into my document. So instead of me having to spend the time tracking this information down, we're going to help you find the template that you should be using instead of having to go back and repurpose. And then we'll also make sure that you have an easy way to leverage that client information, whether it's you working with attorney John Smith or tomorrow you're working with John Doe. You will have access to this client information and be able to quickly bring it into your document. At this point, what I can do now is actually close this out. And we realize that a lot of the times as these documents are evolving, that the lawyers have specific language that they prefer to be used. That's where we can move right down our ribbon and actually come into our clause library, where if I know that I work predominantly with an attorney that has a very specific preference in terms of the language they want to be using, this is where we can actually use the shared folders capability within our clause repository. And I can say, I know that having worked with this lawyer beforehand, that they have a strong preference for their language. They've actually instructed me that I can come into the MSA folder and find the language that they want me to be using here. Instead of having to, at this point, as a support staff member, reach out to the lawyer, go through previous documents, and try to find language that's appropriate, we can leverage our language repository library right here and quickly bring in this language without the struggle of having to make sure that as we bring it in, that it's formatted correctly. I can come here, I can quickly see that this original clause was saved as 1.1. However, we're bringing it into 4.2. Again, Microsoft Word does not lend itself to the complexity of some of the legal documents that we work with today. So what I can do is, instead of copying and pasting and then making sure that my styles are set up appropriately, I can choose here, quickly preview this, double click, and this will bring in this piece of language into my document, and it'll actually respect and adhere to the existing styles and schemes. So no need to bring it as 1.1, go back, try to restyle it. We know that these are things that as support staff members, you guys really are the experts. You guys are the ones that know how to do it and have the best ways to do it. But if there's an easier way to do it, we want to allow you to leverage it and make sure that you're spending your time in the most efficient way possible. And at this point, we can quickly come down the line and just add in the language that we need next. So I can say, I know here, I need some quick termination clauses. I already have them to leverage right within here. I can drop them in just like that. It's that easy. There's no need for me to come in here and spend time doing this each time over and over again. So now that we've brought in some new language, we want to make sure that anything in here that we need to be aware of, we can quickly identify, and if we need to, fix. So at this point, I am done bringing in my language. What I can do is move again to the right. At the end of the day, we want Litera Desktop to be a unified platform, that end-to-end drafting suite where you can move right down the line. You don't have to ask yourself, I've brought in my language, now what do I need to do next? Instead, I quickly analyze this. What we're going to get is our review solution right here, which is going to give us the ability to quickly analyze this document and say, where are the issues lying here? I can see that within here, I actually have some numbering issues. And what I can do is I can quickly navigate here. I can see that in this case, I've actually got some out of order numbering. Big part here is, again, this is a one-off scenario, but if you have 5, 10 numbering issues within a document, no matter how comfortable, how quickly you're able to resolve them, that's still going to be time that's spent coming into home, coming into our styles, or trying to leverage the in-house styles. What we want to do is we want to give you a one-click solution where if a lawyer sends you a document and says, I can't fix this, I copied and pasted it from here and there, can you please help me? instead of you having to come in here and do it manually, we can again move right down the ribbon. We haven't left this Litera tab the entirety of the time that we've been working via this document. And I can click numbers. This is going to go through. Similar to how Clause Companion can actually recognize and respect existing styles and schemes, in this case, our repair solution is doing the same. It's coming in here, it's recognizing how things have been set up, and it's quickly making sure that based off the existing styles and schemes that we've addressed these issues here. So instead of having to do it manually, we have a one-click solution to help you there. Another big piece is this client identifying information. So I have here some client information, and I'm not quite sure if these are the appropriate parties, but we want to make collaboration easy. So what we can do is, if I want to bring in the entirety of my client identifying information, I can see every company, every address, every date. If I have any questions on any piece here, we realize that sometimes the communication between support staff and lawyers, it's a little bit difficult. There is a lot of back and forth. A lot of the time it comes down to emails, waiting on the lawyer to be able to respond, especially when there's legal specific content. What we want to do is within here, I can say, you know what, I'm not quite sure about these dates. I don't know if this is correct here or here, and I don't know if these 3 dates are correct. I can choose them. Within our review solution itself, we can actually create a report. So I can generate this report right within here. It's going to let me know the document name, who prepared it, and when it was prepared, and then the issues in question. At this point, I can say, please review and confirm. All self-contained within, again, the Litera Desktop platform. We want to make this the only place that you need to be when you're drafting your documents or helping get these documents to the state where you can hand it off to the lawyers and let them handle what needs to be done next. Another piece here is if there is one specific aspect or one specific question that you have, we can actually utilize flags. So if right here, this is a date that I'm not quite sure about, I can add a flag right here. Upon adding this flag, it'll be denoted here. And then what I can do now is actually, if I send this to whatever lawyer I'm working with, or perhaps another support staff member, when they run Contract Companion within this risk assessment, they'll be able to see that there's actually a flag here and they need to review this for accuracy. So as we move from left to right, we want to make sure that you have the ability to create the best first draft every time. What that really means is making sure that you have quick access to the language, to the templates that you should be using, instead of having to go through the DMS, having to go through previous documents. At the end of the day, the risk that's left there is that, again, you leave information in there that isn't valid, that isn't accurate to the client. We also want to help you as support staff members empower your lawyers and empower yourselves as much as possible. And what that means is giving you this easy to find language repository where, regardless of what lawyer you're working with, they can actually generate folders specific to how they like to work, the language they like to use, and allow you as the support staff members to be able to quickly access and leverage that language, cutting out that workflow of copy and paste, which we realize here that that is something that has been commonplace in the legal field. But we also recognize that that brings with it inherent risk. So what we want to do is give you the Litera Desktop here so that you can leverage it. You can instill best practices at the firm, from the support staff member level to the associate level to the partner level. And a little foreshadowing there, as Leslie mentioned a little bit earlier, we will be taking this from the perspective of the lawyer in the next series. But for today, really wanted to touch on the areas that we can help when it comes to support staff members. And lastly, the table of contents. I have tried to generate these manually. I know that they are not fun. They are not easy to generate. What we can do is, instead of having to go through the field codes and all of that fun process, I click a button right away. We're actually going to come in here. We're going to make sure that numbering is set up correctly. So if you did actually leave numbering undone beforehand, it will fix it first. I want this to go at the top of my document. And with a click of a button, what we're actually going to see here is that I'm going to get a table of contents generated right away. Native to Microsoft Word, I can right click, I can update, and I can edit as I need to. For the litigators that might be watching this, or for those that support litigators, we have the same functionality within Table of Authorities to make sure that both transactional and litigation attorneys are taken care of, and that you have the ability to support both sides of the field there. Lastly, common workflow here, I hear it all the time, is as a firm, we create a Word document, we send it out, we get it back as a PDF. Now you have to actually convert that PDF. Again, inherent risk that comes with that conversion. A lot of things that might be underlying, you might not recognize until you try to save it for the 5th, the 6th time, and that 7th time you try to access that document and it's corrupt. What I can do is quickly run this PDF cleanup based off many documents that we here at Litera have actually analyzed, worked through. We've created a process where we'll pick up on anything that, like I said, there might be an underlying issue, address it, fix it, and give you the best document to work with. And then quick cleanup functionality here to bring consistency to your documents. A lawyer I was speaking to a couple of weeks ago actually commented on how they view their documents, their work product, as their marketing material. What we want to help you accomplish at your firm with the lawyers you're working with is creating the best document every time, to where when you send it out the door, your clients know that they are getting the highest quality work product. With that being said, those are some of the ways where support staff members can leverage Litera Desktop to help them get through the different aspects of the drafting workflow. Thank you for taking the time to join here, and at this point, we'll open it up to questions.
Site.
And one last piece here actually is this quick access within our review solution. If there are any questions on either the review solution as a whole or a specific tile, what we can actually do is help you go in here and quickly send you to our support page, to where we'll walk you through with some quick FAQs, just to make sure that if at any point you're working through this, you stumble or you're not quite sure how to go about it, you have the ability to leverage our support page right within here with some quick FAQs. But with that said, if there are any questions, we can open it up to the floor at this point.
I do have some questions that came in. So this question is, do you have to have the entire Litera Desktop ribbon in order to access these tools?
No. So while Litera Desktop, at the end of the day, we do believe best works as the entire platform. If there are certain pieces here that you feel that your firm could heavily leverage today, we are able to get those discussions going in terms of helping you build the desktop piece by piece, or if there are specific pieces here. And the best way to get those conversations going would be to reach out to our sales staff, and they would be more than happy to walk you through how we can help you and to help us get a better understanding as to how your firm works today and how we can best help you moving forward.
Awesome. And I have a question. Should I only use the features you showed today, or can I use other buttons on the ribbon?
So everything here within the ribbon is fully able to be something that you can leverage. There are pieces that are more specific to different types of workflows, but everything you see here has been created with the law firm in mind, with the support staff, with the lawyers in mind, and making sure that some of these tasks that today are mundane, time consuming, and just at the end of the day, not fun, we're helping you get through them quickly and minimizing that low value work, allowing you to really focus on what matters. So you can leverage any part of the desktop, but the series moving forward, we'll touch a little bit more as to some of the other aspects.
Okay. And then how do I know this is actually saving me time? How much time is it actually saving a user?
So at the end of the day, when it comes to a specific time, that is something where, again, it is firm by firm, but, in some of our studies that we've seen, we actually discovered that about 60% of legal professionals admit to skipping proofreading, to skipping specific parts of the drafting life cycle. And a lot of the times it's because they have so much on their plate, especially you as support staff members. You're supporting many lawyers, sometimes the entire firm. So while we can't place an exact amount of time being saved on it, these are a lot of the things designed to, instead of having to come into home or insert and do cross references here, we'll help you do it with a click of a button within Litera Desktop. So no exact numbers there, but would be more than happy to discuss some of the workflows and how we can cut that down if there's any interest here.
Perfect. And then last question, if I'm in a hurry to get this back to a lawyer, what would you suggest that I use first?
So the repair functionality within the desktop ribbon here is designed to get a document to a point where someone can start editing, adding to it. So we realize that if there are numbering issues within a document, it's going to be tough to bring in new information. So if a lawyer needs a document ASAP, would highly recommend using our numbers functionality here, quickly cleaning up the document if it has been converted previously, and then a couple of cleanup buttons here to get that document to a consistent state to where the lawyer can start working on it however they need to.
Perfect. All right. Thanks again for tuning in today. If you'd like to see any more of our past webinars that focus with a little more detail on any of our other tools, please visit litera.com/webinars. Thanks again to Victor and Leslie, and we hope to see you at the next webinar for leveraging Litera Desktop specifically for the attorney. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.